seekers and sojourners of truth, the 144, for real, the 144. The chosen of the chosen few, you know who you are. I greet you in the love that lights the truth from my heart to yours. I am Celestial Earth in this divine energy essence of it all, reporting to you live from nowhere other than 5D. Where else would we be? Stand up, take a look around. If you just got here, look around and see that the dimensions are changing, the timelines rock you under. You know, unless you are ostrich with your head in the sand, it's a lot of ish going on, right? So, as usual, I bring you the news to infuse if you so choose to infuse with that light grid. And if not, remember, if you don't infuse, you refuse. And when you refuse, be prepared to get fried on the grid. So, with that, it is with that that I bring to you in this news. Like, y'all, I'm so on my divines, my lovelies, my God bodies. Like I'm right now, I'm speaking to the higher ups, the higher echelons of the spiritual society, the real true ones, God bodies, the 144, 12 times 12, like those who are in their complete cyclical completion, the 12 times 12. And I'm gonna talk a little bit more about that because that's not what I'm talking about now, but I'm gonna do another video. This is the live. So welcome in. Let me ping all my live people right now. Faithfully, the energies grab who they need to grab and get y'all all in right now because this live is live right about now. Live wire, fresh download. I was sitting in the sun, fresh download. I am in the detox still. And so the information, whenever you detox or fast, for those of you who don't know, it really opens up your third eye. My third eye already sharp. So it really sharpens and activates the third eye. So being in that as well as time pushing, because right now is past my bedtime, meaning like way past, should have been in bed from like 4 o'clock from getting up at night as my rising, right? So there is so much shifting right now, and I'm literally feeling me vibrate right now. Like, I don't know how many of you are feeling that. If those of you who are really amplifying on the grid, in the grid, infusing with the grid, being about your soul's business and really ascending, transcending, transmuting, evolving, and doing what must needs be done, I applaud you and I implore you to keep going because the energy's got some acceleration gear for you. Okay, so if you're feeling it, it's like it's like we're almost feeling the pulsation of the earth. Like while I was sitting in the sun, I'm feeling the pulsation, right? So I'm just sharing that with you to know you're not alone. It's not weird if you suddenly just feel like this pulsation, or there's another word for it that some of you may be feeling. That is part of the ascension, right? That is part of acclimating with these frequencies on your new timeline. Welcome, right? So with that, what I want to talk about within this right now, fresh information that I just got, is about the distortions of the feminine energy, the distortions of what is happening with the feminine energy right now. It's been pouring in heavy since 2020, May specifically of 2020. And it's people have been hearing it. You've been probably seeing it places here and there. The feminine energy is here. The feminine, to be honest with y'all, it was always here. It has just been eclipsed by the misappropriations and the malfunctions of the masculine energies, the misappropriated masculine energy, not the divine masculine. Okay, the divine masculine has also too been eclipsed, but it's going to take the feminine energies to bring it back to balance. And that's what I want to talk about, what was revealed to me as I was sitting in the sun. And to be honest, let me give a little prelude to it before I go into it, because that part of it I'm going to have to stick a pin and put in another video. But it started with looking at numerology, the divine numerology, and the number 13. The month that we're in, it's a number 13 month, meaning the year is a 9, the month is a 4, and together that makes 13. So the universal month is 13, right? We got to pay attention to our numbers, because numerology also is a key and holds keys in our codes, right? So there's this feminine, and as I'm meditating on it, I'm really seeing that within this, there is this feminine energy. That's 13 is the number of the feminine, the divine feminine. Um, Yet we're in a masculine month, for those who know. And I don't mean the month of April. For those of you who have the 5D calendars, check your calendar. I mean the month of Aries. Ashe, the first month that begins the year, which is the Aries season. That is the month. So that Aries season, also known as the month of Asar on the 5D calendar, that is a masculine energy. That is a masculine masculine. It's a double masculine, right? Because it's the physical. So you have this very masculine month that is about creativity, really getting things done. And then you have this feminine energy. So this month being numbered a feminine energy is really pouring into this masculine month, which shows balance. And as I looked at that, and I'm going to read to you the download, give you a little bit of the fresh download and speak some more on it. Um, but I'm seeing the balance, and this, it's almost like I'm seeing the feminine pouring in, as you have been hearing people say. But right now, while we're in this pivotal time with all the energies we've just had, right? This is a convoluted universe, so it's not just what I'm talking about. If you can expand your capacity of understanding and look into it and see the many components of this. So there's these frequencies that have been happening since the lunar eclipse to the solar eclipse to Neptune shifting, still a major energetic thunderbolt earthquake in the energetic atmosphere. We're still feeling the gong, and we're going to feel that big gong for a long time. All right, more than a year, probably 2 years, probably up until about 2026, right? We're going to feel that gong from Neptune shifting out of Pisces into Aries. So all of that happening, plus now here we are in the masculine month, right? Masculine, and this is nothing to do with gender. The masculine month with the feminine energy pouring in. And so what we're seeing is this energy is bringing harmony. This is the harmony of the duality of the masculine and feminine energy, which is really creative activity and receptive activity. If you want to take the essence of the gender out of it, because a lot of us still get distorted by the gender, because when we hear masculine, feminine, it automatically triggers male and female, man and woman. And it has nothing to do with your gender as a man and woman. Let me not say nothing. It has nothing. I have to speak to our egos when I say this. It does, but it doesn't. And so to our misappropriated egos, I say to all of us, it has nothing to do with the gender. However, when you accelerate and ascend and you get to a certain understanding, you will know exactly what it has to do with the gender and how it exemplifies it through manifested form, right? But first and foremost, it is creative activity. That is what we call masculine energy. Everything that is the creative activity, which is the action to do, it gets things done. It is creation, right? The receptive activity is feminine, what we call feminine, and that is everything that is receptive, because in the receptivity is where information is flourishing, right? In the unknown, just by allowing in the unknown, you're not doing anything, you are simply being. And in the receptivity, it just is. It is the isness of the divine, that you allow yourself to be receptive so that information can flow through you, so that you can then be creative, which is why they say everything comes out of the womb man, meaning everything comes out of receptivity. So why I'm saying that, because the misappropriations of the feminine is really, a lot of us, it gets distorted. It gets distorted. Ashe, welcome. It gets distorted by, and feel free to chime in, y'all. I know, like I said, this is gonna be live, and sometimes it's like, what? So if you got something in it, please, that's why I'm doing it live. I was like, let me share with y'all. Let's have a conversation. So if there's something that you have, if you have a question, comment, anything, throw it in here. You know, the creative completion of us in here, the three, feel free to communicate, right? To converse. The the misappropriations I want to talk about is this Tiamat, and some of you have been hearing that. It's been coming up, and I'm seeing it. I'm like, okay, Tiamat here, Tiamat there, and this Tiamat is speaking of like the chaos of the feminine energy, which only reminded me of Sekhmet, Kalima. Ever since I saw it, it was giving me Kalima energy. Like I kept feeling the essence of, why is this feeling like Kalima? Which has the destruction of the feminine. This is how the misappropriated masculine discredits the feminine and wants to keep us skewed of this energy is being known as chaotic, right? Think of it as this feminine chaos is almost like how they term the angry black woman, right? Like here comes that chaotic feminine, or let's we don't even got to put color on it. It's how they deem women when they're on their menstrual, right? Oh, there she goes, she's menstrual, here comes the cloud of destruction. So the woman gets this or the feminine, and mind you, when I'm saying this, I'm talking about the receptive energy, which is what it truly is. So I'm asking us to hold note of that truth, of this feminine energy being a receptive activity through which all information comes and flows and grows. So this distortion of chaos, this Sekhmet, this Kali, this anything that they choose to make, and even Medusa. If you really read the real Medusa story, she becomes this monster out to get men, when really it's the other way around. It was men out to get her, which she put a spell on herself to make herself that way to keep them at bay, right? And even Kalima, it's coming after the men. She's said to have beheaded the men, but it is to be known that it is to get rid of that misappropriated ego, so that the truth can flow, so that the righteous energy can flow. So there is a reason for it. But hear this, what we're not understanding with these misappropriations, and you can look at it like a relationship too, if you want to, right? Let me see. Kalima energy is writing. Yes, it is. But it's not to see, a lot of us misconstrue it, not saying you are, but some people think, yeah, revenge of the women. Yeah, let's get rid of them. Let's get rid of these men. That's not what it's for. It's to bring a balance. It's to bring a harmony. The reason why, and let me tell you why we see chaos. This is what I want to get into. Why do we see chaos? It's because that what the energy is bringing, think about what it is. It is receptive activity. It is receptive. It is reflective. It doesn't do anything. The doing is the creative activity. So who is really creating the chaos is the masculine energy. Again, not males, not gender. The misappropriations of the creative activity of humankind brings about the chaos, because we don't want to hold ourselves accountable and responsible for what we have created. Ooh, our misappropriations of what we thought we received or recepted. This is where, the creative activity sometimes perverts the ways, when it's too much into its creative. That's why you need a harmony, because then it takes it and it takes the information, perverts it, and creates what it wants to create on its own, in its own mind, on its own design. And then even if some good comes out of it, after some time, when there's some kickback, who has to fix it? The feminine energy has to come back and reiterate through reflection, because what happens is, because it's the receptive activity, it allows the creativity to do what it does, and then it just receives, right? This is very similar to the subconscious mind. It receives and it receives. Subconscious receives, and what the subconscious does is it plays back everything to you in your life, world, and affairs subconsciously. That's why people don't know where it's coming from, because they think it's, where did this come from? Well, I don't know. Your subconscious, the feminine activity. So what happens is it receives. So while mankind is misappropriatedly creating the receptive activity, got little light bugs. The receptive activity is Receiving, and where y'all, oh, y'all want to attack me now? I feel like the lotus, like, get thee hence. Stand behind me and get thee hence. All of a sudden, when I'm getting there, they want to shut her up. Send on the flies. Shit, but guess what? I will not be stopped. Y'all better shoot fly, don't bother me. So bring it back to me, spirit. Receptive. Yep, y'all gonna keep flying around. Get thee hence. The receptive energy is receiving what mankind has been creating, and in due time it does what it does. After receiving, eventually it plays it back. It pretty much just by being reflective, because it's receptive, it's reflective, it plays it back. Now when it plays it back, here comes the chaos. Here comes the menstrual lady, as they say. Now they call it the Sekhmet, the Kali Ma, the Medusas, the all of these feminines that are bringing chaos. And it only looks like chaos because, again, you don't want to have accountability for what you've created. Mankind must have accountability for what it's created. So first, what comes is chaos. And I'm talking to us from an individual to a collective level. Obviously, collectively, I'm talking about mankind. But I want us to also think about it individually. Take it in and think about at an individual level, where or have you created some things in your life, world, and affairs, which we do, because as a man thinketh, so is he. As a woman feeleth, so is she. Because it's really coming out of the feminine subconsciously. And then when it comes to the conscious phase of mind, we think it. And as we think it, we bring it. Right? So we, in our own mind, because we're both masculine and feminine within us, male and female created he, them both, which means we are both masculine and feminine energy. We host both creative and receptive activity. So as it, oh, rising, I just saw that. So as it is bringing that back to us, it's just simply playing back what we have put out. And it shows up upon our shores of consciousness as chaos. And now it's like, look what this woman brought, this chaos woman, this chaotic woman, Kali Ma, destruction. But that destruction is so that we can destroy what we have created, so we can hold accountability and then allow the flow of basically it's like removing the block of receptivity, because receptivity is just it always will be, that's what it is. So we're removing the block. So you can think of that as we begin to see that chaotic Sekhmet, whatever you call it, energy, when there is a stuckness within ourselves and within humanity from what we have created. And as time goes on and we have no accountability, it gets more stuck, and the information cannot flow. Right? The feminine energy that brings the intuition through receptivity cannot flow. So as it's reflecting, as it's pouring out, it's like it needs to remove the block. So the chaos comes to break up the dark matter debris that we have created over time, in time, and through time, and so that there can be clarity, so that there can be a flow of this information that the feminine brings, so we can be in right standing with what we are creating, so we have a harmony and a balance with what we are creating, respecting where it comes from, which is always through receptivity. Out of receptivity comes creativity. Out of the ethers of receptivity, out of the universe of receptivity, out of the galactic center, everywhere out there, out of source receptivity comes creation, comes creativity. This earth is here through a receptive to a creative process. So yes, we have to respect it down now to a very micro level, from the macro to the micro. Yes, as a woman, respect, because as they say, all men come from women. And that's how when you understand the macro aspect of it, you can understand why it shows up in the female capacity or the male capacity. But ultimately, it is just receptive and creative. And when it is When it is in oneness with source, you see, y'all see they attacking me. When it's oneness with source knows no difference. There is no separation. The separation is an illusion that belongs in us because we belong. We are existing in this time space reality of duality, which is only here for us to transcend. But when it is in source, this same receptive creative that I'm talking about, when it is in source itself, in and of itself, it knows no separation. So even to say it comes from receptivity, source just knows it as one simultaneously, creative and receptive as one. But we see things in a duality, we see things in a breakdown. So we see something coming from something. Um, so yes, the creativity is coming from the receptivity. So now when this feminine energy comes, it is coming to remove the blocks. It is not coming to destroy your life, whatever may be falling apart. It's not coming to bring the chaos. As a matter of fact, the chaos is there because we have upheld it, because we have egoic holds. And so in this month, as you can see, very feminine, the number 13 is pouring in. That's what I'm seeing. It's like it's pouring in the feminine, divine feminine energies to allow us to get back to the divine masculine. Because clearly there's chaos because chaos was created. Masculine energy, right? So again, don't misconfuse it, don't mix it up. It has nothing to do with blaming men, blaming women. It's not that, right? Matter of fact, remember we're talking about mankind. So if you're blaming men, you're blaming the man in you. If you're blaming the woman, you're blaming the woman in you. And it's all to have a harmony and a balance. Ashe, ashe, ashe. So with that, I'm gonna share with you the download, because you know these little lotus flies want to get them. You know that opposition energy don't like when you cut some truth into things, right? And I feel like it's important that we see this because a lot of us sometimes have it misconstrued. Even I do. So I have to go into my higher self and remember, because a lot of us, we automatically see things a certain way because of the context that it was taught in. And these are paradigms that we have to break, right? Especially if we're shifting to the next timeline. Do not see it as chaos, you know. And if you do, even if it's worded that way, like, oh, Tiamat, chaotic, Sekhmet, chaotic, note to self that, oh, it's here to break the chaos. And it's let me read this download first, and then I'll get to how we should look at it, or how it would be a little bit easier for us to change the way we converse about it, even in our own minds, right? It's back to bring the balance. Ashe, you see what's happening? You see it. Thank you. So this is really coming out of me looking at numerology, like I said. So this is a 13 universal month code, which is the number of the feminine. The feminine energies are pouring into the masculine month or house, which is calling for balance and harmony between the two. And I'm going to read this little part here, but I'm sticking a pin on the numbers. I'm going to do a different video on the numbers. All right. So between the two. So if you see a lot of twos, like 222, 212, 202, etc., you're calling for something within the harmony, because that 2 is representing the harmony of duality. So whatever that number is in the middle, it is within the harmony of duality. That's what's calling for in you, if you see that, right? And if you see 2 in the middle, then you're calling for harmony to be within something. So whatever those numbers are on the outside, because they all mean something too, I'd have to do a numerology workshop. I'm going so fast because the information is fast and the excitement of it. So forgive me, I'm like stepping on my time. So if you see the 2 in the middle, it's calling for harmony to be within something. So like I was saying, I may have to do a numerology workshop just to even break down these numbers, because each one, you know, means something. And if you're seeing 3s, you're calling for the creative completion of this harmony that we're in. So if you're seeing a lot of 3s, then that's the level that you're at, because when you do harmonize, you start to actualize the creative completion. So you may be seeing 3s, right? and so on and so on, whatever those numbers are for you, but I'd have to keep going into numbers. So on and so on, depending on what level you're on in the elevation of your journey. So, I started out with that, and then the rest came in about the whole Tiamat, you know, information. So it is with this harmony clash that ones are feeling the chaos of this Tiamat energy, or the Tiamat chaos, the Sekhmet chaos, right? It's through this harmony clash, because remember, it's harmonizing, but through it, we may see it as a clash, because it is the masculine's misappropriations of the creative activity that does not want to let go of its egoic grip, while the divine feminine brings the revelations through reflections of the receptive activity. So it is because we are holding on. It's for us to understand this on so many levels, that it's because we're holding on, all of us. And when I got this download, it's almost like I could feel the guides, the angels of light or angels of light, the celestial hosts. It's almost like I can feel them around, just saying, if we would just let go, if they would just let go. You feel it as a misappropriation. Simply, it's like they really want us to know this is a very pivotal time where we simply need to let go of these old concepts, let go of what we think we are wanting to protect, right? Anyway, let me finish reading the download. So while the divine energy brings its reflections or revelations through reflections of the receptive activity to the surface of the outer world through the solar perspective, right? And why I say the solar perspective, because the sun being in Aries, I like to remind us it's a solar perspective, right? Or because of where we are on Earth, it's our solar perspective of where the sun is, right? The receptive activity, what's happening, as I said earlier, the receptive activity is playing back, or it's replaying the creative activity, what the creative activity has done, in order for it to identify itself in its creations, to hold true accountability, in order to gain access to its infinite existence and receive its expansion through its receptive activity. Duh. Like, it's basically highlighting that receptivity. It's just replaying, as I said earlier, it's replaying the creative chords, the creative activities of everything that we have already done. We are the one that created the chaos. We just couldn't see it while we were prancing around in it, while we was living it up, walking in our pride. Oh, this feels good. Oh, this looks good. Oh, this is progressive. Not everything that is progressive is right, meaning it's not done in its right time and in its right order. Sometimes in humanity we skip steps, right? And I'm seeing 5-5, which is reminding me of the physical spiritual balance, which is what we're calling in and bringing in. So sometimes we skip steps. So it's not that the creation itself is wrong, but in our out of orderness, in skipping steps and being out of order, or in not rightful timing, meaning not being patient and waiting to the right time, but being forceful because, again, the ego wants to show itself, right? Its natural order is to create, create, create. But this is why it needs the balance of the feminine, so that it can wait before it creates, right? And not wait in indefinite, not miss a, it's all a balance. Not wait forever, and not wait till you have proof and evidence to get it done, but wait till the energies open up the doors and the window and says, yes, it is a vibrational match. Yes, my child or my children, you have arrived. You have reached your destination, right? Yes, you have arrived to the fifth dimension. Now you are ready. You are in this timeline and now you're ready, right? We can't want to do things before our time. So we are out of order because we're out of time sometimes. And we need to be put back in our place. And the receptive energy is saying, hey, you did this out of order. Now I gotta reflect something let you know you got to fix it, right? So again, this part is very important. So I just want to reiterate it, that it's playing back. The receptive energy is playing back what the creative activity has done in order for it to identify itself in its creations and hold true accountability in order to gain access to its infinite existence and receive its expansion through its receptive activity. It wants to give. It wants to give us what it is that we have come here to become, right? So when one's release the egoic desire to protect its wounds, there will be a turnover, or what I call a return, or return spirit. There will be a turnover in humility to receive. It takes that humility. We need to humbleize the misappropriated ego greatly, right? Therefore, allowing harmony to turn over the clash. So that clash of harmony that ones are feeling as chaos, it needs to be turned over, but it's not going to be turned over least we release. Least we recognize the part that we play, the accountability for what we have created, regardless of the reason we want to give it. So the chaos is here to free and liberate. The clash is here because freedom was not accepted, but rejected by the choice to hold on to what is fearfully thought to protect. Fearfully. So in our fear-based thoughts and feelings, we think we're protecting. That's what the ego is hardwired to do, protect. So it uses, and the opposition energies knows this, and this is how it infiltrates all of us, because its natural function is to protect. So if it triggers fear, this is why they say there's no such thing as a devil out there or a demon. It's all there is suggestion. And if it suggests and triggers fear into our individual mind, collective mind, into humanity, globally, however you want to look at it, once it suggests fear, there goes the ego. We need a hero. The ego always wants to be the protector, the hero, right? And it's nothing wrong with protection. But when it's fearfully triggered, that is a problem. So this is why we can't do anything in fear, right? So, and this was just the last part. So it's to know that when it's rejected by the choice to hold on to what is fearfully thought to protect. So this month is a balancing act for this harmony as the feminine energies are pouring in its receptive reflections. Ashe, Ashe, that's the end of the download. But there is so much for us to understand in this, and faithfully you get it. Like, subscribe, share if you can. Share this information with someone who may need to hear what these feminine energies, how they're misappropriated, because we really need to change the dialogue. We need to change the conversations, the way we're having them, right? Even if you say it's still out of habit, we want to start to change the way that we're understanding it, because we will say it still out of habit until we can break that habit. And the way to break it is still remind yourself in your mind. If you can change it when it comes out of your mouth, fine. You can correct yourself right away, like, oh no. But in the mind, we want to really break those concepts, break those these are the paradigms that have to break. And in the mind, recognize what this feminine energy is, and do not allow people to pull you into that play of masculine against feminine, woman against man. Like, this is not what we're here for, but to simply understand what the feminine energy does. And when you do, you respect it. It becomes not a threat, right? And sometimes how it shows up in society is even definitely misconstrued, because then we have, with the pouring in of this feminine, we start to see a rise in feminist movement, right? And feminism. And this feminist is not the answer either, because the feminists are simply overly masculinated feminine. So it is a feminine, it is a misappropriation of the feminine, and it doesn't help the situation, right? And I was talking about it and I said, and I get it. I don't blame, I get it, because if over thousands of years we've had this misappropriated masculine energy, there comes a time for a breaking point. And so the turn of the century, in the 19th century, this is when you start to hear the rise of the feminine, because women who represent this feminine energy in human form, um, had enough, and it's like, okay, we're not going to be put down anymore. We're not going to be demonized, in the mid 80s, when they burnt the witches and the seers and all the divine feminine that had the insight, right? Because they wanted to pervert and twist and get rid of the feminine, labeling them chaotic and demonic. And after time, the rise of the new feminine was saying, we're not having this no more. We don't really quite know where to go. They don't know how to come out of it. And all they know is what had been exemplified over time, which was the masculine misappropriation. So it's kind of like, can't beat them, let's join them type of thing. And all they see is dominance. Oh, so we have to be dominant. And so the feminist act kind of comes about under the disguise of protecting feminine energy, but really it is fearfully brought about because of the fear of being put down. And what does fear bring up? The ego's protection. So it brings up the misappropriated masculine energy within the feminine. And that is why we see that taking place. And then within the men, we do see the misappropriation of the feminine energy being poured in and thinking, oh, well, I should be feminine. I should be, as an excuse to also be female in its form, and not knocking anything. I'm simply speaking of the energies and how it shows up in um, in our human form, right? So these are some of the things that get misappropriated as these feminine energies are pouring in when we don't get rid of or remove the egoic hold. Because all in all, when we're doing all of this, we still haven't gone in and got rid of our egoic holds, whatever they may be. Whether you're a feminist or an effeminate, man, however you want to look at it, you are just, it's like going from one far end of the scope to the other. And externally, right? Because you're not going truly deep internally, into the etheric realm of understanding what this macro microcosm of the feminine masculine energy equals, which is when you go beyond your capacity, you see creative and feminine energy, and then you learn how to harmonize by respecting the creative and receptive energy as it is, so that when it shows up in you, through you, as the feminine representative or masculine representative, you come to a balance with it, right? And so I say this so that we find balance, not just in our personal lives, but collectively, and in the harmony of what's happening as we're shifting timelines. Like, all of this is happening at such a pivotal moment right now to even help us with the Neptune shift, with breaking illusions, because the ego holds on to these illusions again because of fear, the misappropriated ego. And so one of the things that I wanted to share with us when I said I'll get back to that was how we look at it. How can we change the conversation a little bit, or the understanding? And sometimes that looks like, let's say we put it in our understanding. Let's say we take the the receptive creative activity, and we put it in our definition of, masculine, feminine, bring it on down to actual relationship, right? And I'm saying this so that we change even how we are in our relationships. This is bringing it into the micro. And when you look at that as the feminine energy, this is what she does. This is what the receptivity does. It's simply to bring something to you. So even in relationships, you can start to understand that why that woman brings something. And you'll see in some relationships, you may even hear some men talk about it, and, oh, all she do is nag, or all she does is bring up what I'm not doing, and all she doing is, and it's like, okay, so all she's doing is reflecting. She's doing what she is being in her natural state of the capsule that she's in. She's in her feminine suit. She's in a female suit. So she takes on all of the qualities of the feminine energy more naturally. So in a relationship, the dynamics will be she's bringing this. And when she brings this to you, it comes across as chaos. She's creating a scene, she's creating a chaos, right? I'm not making excuses for the misappropriated ones, right? But to bring in understanding, so to kind of help even some men in certain, I really got to do a masculine feminine workshop. There's so many workshops like out there right now, like they're on the way, believe me, they're coming. I'm jotting them down as I go. um, but it would really help if you just see that, oh, she's just reflecting the chaos that I've created. And it's not to blame everything on the man, but the masculine, the creative activity, his job is to do. So what have you done? And in your doing, most of the time she sits back and just receptive activity, being receptive, letting you be. But then when it all builds up, then she reflects, she gives back, and then it feels like total destruction and chaos, right? So, but that chaos is to clear the way. The way to have harmony and balance is if you find, um, first of all, respect the receptivity, respect it, honor it, be appreciative of it, so that when it comes, it's like, oh, she just came to break up the dark matter of chaos that somehow I misappropriated, and she's showing me, she's helping me. So you begin to see, okay, this is how I can harmonize rather than her being a threat. You know, this is what she's bringing, right? And I'm saying this as in a relationship, but I'm saying it so that we get it in our conscious mind. So as things are coming up in our life and it's like, why is this? Why is that? Yes, the receptive energy, the feminine energy in you is responsible for playing that back, pressing replay on your subconscious recorder, because the subconscious is the recorder of your soul. So yes, she's playing replay. She's bringing it back. But rather than us getting uptight in our ego and trying to defend it and trying to hold on to what we think should be true, we just need to release. We need to understand the chaos a little bit. It's a welcomed chaos. Just say, okay, this is happening out there in my life, world, and affairs, because as within, so without. So if this is happening out there, what's happening in here? Oh, my subconscious is replaying something that obviously I have created. Had I not created it, it wouldn't be highlighted right now. It's doing its job, being receptive and reflective. And then it is for me to see it so I can hold accountability and go, oh, I was out of order. And we have to remove ourselves from beating on ourselves for feeling wrong. It doesn't mean you're wrong in something you did. It just means that it was out of time and out of order, and because of that, it created some kind of backup on the conveyor belt of life. And it needs to be clear. Somebody need to get that off the conveyor belt. So your subconscious plays it back. Ta-da! Tiamat chaos. Ta-da! Sekhmet chaos. But when we take responsibility, instead of blaming that feminine energy for the chaos, we say, you know what? No, it's my masculine energy in me. I created that. And she's just bringing it back. Thank you for bringing that back. And then when you do that, you clear the way. And then now the harmony of it is more information can flow. The intuition opens up. And you see this in harmonizing relationships. Those who truly understand it, those masculines or those males that truly respect it in the relationship dynamic, they allow the woman to bring it up. Even when it feels uncomfortable, they don't really combat with her and make her the enemy, but they allow it and receive it, make the necessary corrections. And then that is how she makes a happy home. You know, that's when they say you give a woman a house and she gives you a home. That's how she gives that home. That's how she amplifies it. That's how the receptive activity can keep giving to your creativity, and thus putting you on the right track of how to create when and where in time, in due time and in due order. And this is what we got to understand as we're going into the fifth dimension, because a lot of people just want to rush in. In case you're asking what relevance is this to 5D, it's every bit of relevance. Because everybody wants to just rush into, oh, new age of Aquarian, pew. Oh, fifth dimension, pew. And then they travel with all of their baggage. If you don't get rid of what's behind you, what you've been creating, how do you expect to step into your blessings, your new timeline? You're carrying the very curses that you've been walking with from lifetime after lifetime. So it really plays a part in how we are entering into the fifth dimension, because we in it, but how are you acclimating? How are you seeing this? If you don't allow receptivity, if you don't allow the harmony, how can we create in the 5D if we can't harmonize from the 2th dimension to the 3rd dimension to the 4th dimension into the 5th? It's wrongful timing. If you think you can just jump in 5D and wait a minute, you didn't take care of that. You're still holding the grip of some fears that the ego is protecting, because as long as you got them fears, ego is like, I got you right there with you. So you tagging along that misappropriated ego, and it's time for that to come to an end in the age of the Aquarian. So we're not carrying the shadows of the age of the Ram, where all of this got heavily discombobulated, because the age of the Ram is more about the ego. It's about self-identity. The Ram is Aries, so self-identification. And we as a humanity want to identify ourselves now. It's almost like in humanity got to that point where it's like we feeling ourselves. Like, oh snap, we feeling ourselves. I am man, you know. I am this, I create that. Me, 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 me. And nothing wrong with creating, but when it becomes that way, it became very overly masculinated upon masculine upon, and they just wanted to destroy. They wanted to forget and not have accountability and forget that they come from a receptive activity. They wanted to forget that the feminine energy is here, one with the masculine energy. So what they did was they extracted the divine masculine. They wanted to only utilize that and pull it apart from the divine feminine and then push it out its way. It's almost like they just mushed her in her face. Like, yeah, we don't need you. We can create everything on our own. And this became humankind's misconceptions, misconstructions throughout that age of the Ram, falling into the shadows and losing identity of itself because of the fears that we allowed to seep in through the suggestions of the opposition energy, the parasitic energy that exists. You know how some may say in the Bible, the devil roams the earth. You know, that's just the opposition energy that continues to infiltrate and that was an opportune time for them. Yeah, let mankind feel their self to the point where they exclude the feminine energy. And that has what also corrupted the Piscean age. But this is a turnover. That's why there's so much being poured in right now, and we need it, but we need to understand it at a level of truth. We need to understand it for what it is, not chaos. And if you're gonna call it chaos, know it to be welcomed chaos that's only here to bring a turnover. But to understand it as an opener, as the clogged, removing the clogged arteries through time and space, removing the clogged agenda of the misappropriations. And it ultimately, it wants to restore the divine masculine. It doesn't want to get rid of masculine. It needs it. Hello, it's harmony. We need both. But it's for us to understand that this has to be done first. And so it's almost like it needs to really get there with the ego. That's why I said in the beginning of the video, like, okay, I'm speaking to those of us with our egos, that it has nothing, like sometimes we got to tear that ego down and say, this has nothing to do with you, and I don't need you to protect me. Sit down, ego. Because other than that, we're holding on vice grips. There's a death grip right now while the times are changing, and I know y'all feel it. That 3D shadow world is holding on with a death grip. And it's not just the 3D. It's some people in 5D that that got across the borders with their contraband of some 3D shadows in their consciousness. Ashe. So I shared that with y'all. It was lovely sharing this balance with you. I may do more videos on it because I feel like it's a conversation that needs to be had. We really, really got to honor the divine feminine and know it to be nothing more than a blessing that's bringing the lessons that we need. We got to know it to not be chaos. We need to take it out of its discrediting venue that they've put it in. It doesn't belong there, right? So, with that said, faithfully able to get that across about the misappropriations of the divine feminine. And I remind you, please remember to like, subscribe, share, comment if you dare, leave any emojis. If this resonated with you, let me know how. If you're feeling this, like, even if just how you're feeling these energies, like, that's how I got this download. Like, man, the energies. I know we're all feeling it. So whatever you may be feeling in the energies, I'm going to do a video a little bit more, talking a little bit more about those numbers you heard me speak about, and the number codes, um, the calendars. We're going to get ready for the calendar workshop where we're going to go into the past year's calendar. We're going to utilize the last year's calendar to kind of get everyone comfortable with the calendar before the new ones come out, which they are going to be coming to a 5D corner near you. So with that said, it was a pleasure enjoying the conversation with you all. Craig, thank you for coming through, and anyone else who came through. I believe that says Montu, if I'm reading that right. Who else? Let's see. We're welcome. We're welcome. Thank you for the love, the likes, the appreciation, and the reciprocal energy. And I send that back to you with infinite love and divine light always. So each one, reach one, teach one. If you don't know where to start in your big, beautiful heart. Shine your light from the inside and be the candle that lights the next one and the next one and the next one. Peace, love, and light. Ashe.